So, folks, tomorrow morning, Todd Blanche is going to go in front of Congress to testify. Basically, this is his opportunity to sell himself in front of Congress. He's also going to be, of course, asked questions. He's in a bit of a pickle because up until now, he's just been an acting attorney general. And this entire process was supposed to be easy peasy lemon squeezy, you know? However, given the fact that Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, both absent at the moment from Congress, he's facing a little bit harder of a battle. And also he hasn't made many friends in Congress. Specifically, he is reviled by Democrats, and he's made a lot of enemies among conservatives and among the MAGA Senate in particular because he's been screwing them over. And not only that, he has an enormous amount of political baggage attached to him. There's also been a flurry of pieces from the New York Times on this over the last, month or so. But like this piece from the New York Times dropped today, actually. I'm frustrated. Emails show Blanche's role in Trump's retribution campaign. Basically, the New York Times here is just dropping a bunch of like, hey, Congress, this guy has specifically not been doing what an attorney general should be doing as an impartial and unrelated, purveyor of law and prosecution on the federal level, and instead has been running like amateur games for the president. He's just been breaking the law and going after Donald Trump's enemies. That's it. That's all he's been doing. This story is mostly about him being really frustrated because he's had to cover for different deeply inconvenient Trump allies that have been put into the DOJ after they've had their moment in the sun. Notable among them, Ed Martin, who is just, was such a colossal fuck up that he had to get taken out of leadership and put underneath Todd Blanche, right? So a lot of this is happening, but there's also mounting political pressure from a lot of other avenues that one doesn't usually see. For example, here is this from last week. DOJ alums call on senators to reject Blanche nomination as Attorney General. And you might think, oh, okay, how many of them called on him to drop, to not be nominated? It was 1,200. 1,200 former employees of the Department of Justice. 1,200 of them. They wrote, in the coming weeks, many will rightly underscore the corruption and abuses that have defined the Justice Department under Todd Blanche's leadership. The vindictive prosecutions, the investigations of the president's foes, the deals designed to reward lawbreakers with taxpayer dollars, the erasure of accountability for January 6th, the mishandling of the Epstein files, the denigration of judges, repeated violations of their orders. But we will want to focus on an area that deserves just as much attention: Todd Blanche's degradation of the DOJ's apolitical career workforce. Blanche has fired or overseen the firings of hundreds of those employees usually without notice and for improper, unlawful reasons. Some were terminated for having worked on cases the president didn't like, for being relatives of the president's foes, for adjudicating immigration cases in accordance with due process, for declining to initiate vindictive prosecutions, or for refusing to lie in court. These terminations violate the very civil service statutes designed to prevent corruption and political purges. It's not looking good for Todd Blanche. This is a very uphill battle, and I do want to commend the Senate Judiciary Democrats for getting off of their ass and making it even more difficult for Republicans to confirm this, because the goal of this, right, and the goal of a lot of these minority party positions, right?
On today's episode of Fighting Fascism and Punchin' Yahtzees in the Face. Do your part, chat.
Hell yeah, Nindrain. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, and thank you for being the first person to support stream today. Very much appreciate you. And thank you for making this show possible. But I have to commend, a lot of what Democrats are doing right now in the minority position is trying to get Republicans to vote yes on the worst policies, in part so that Republicans can then be held accountable for it when it comes to re-election time. And in that regard, they are going to get a lot of Republicans on record as not giving a single shit about Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files, specifically by calling an Epstein victim to testify against Todd Blanche. Bensky will sit on a panel of outside witnesses to be convened Thursday, the day after Blanche sits for his confirmation hearing before the panel. Democrats' decision to include her underscores their intent to make Blanche's confirmation process and his handling of the release of the so-called Epstein files, which were rolled out late and with botched redactions. Danny Bensky is a brave survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific crimes. Her name was included in multiple batches of released Epstein files due to Todd Blanche's failures. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, said in a statement, "She's attempted multiple times to redact her information without success," Durbin added. Like, she's tried to get her name taken out of the Epstein files multiple times, and they have specifically not done that, right? So when they get her to come in and testify, what they're also doing here is making it a referendum. Are you going to allow the guy who gave a cozy sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, who is convicted of raping children, and putting her in a minimum security prison with puppies? Are you going to vote for that guy to run the entirety of the Department of Justice? Like, that's at least going to exact some kind of political price. And so, as far as this goes, she's doing what she thinks is best to try and make sure this guy doesn't get this higher seat of power. And this is also, whichever way it goes, either Democrats win on this and Todd Blanche does not become the new attorney general, or Republicans all fucking indict themselves by voting for the guy who is in direct opposition to Epstein victims. That's wild. Are you lying right now? I'm literally showing the receipts on screen as I talk about it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You can go look up these articles and read them if you don't think that I'm portraying them correctly. This is all leftist propaganda? Yeah, it truly is. Anyway, here's a bunch of Epstein victims talking about Todd Blanche and why they think that he should not be, in fact, the next attorney general. Let's check this out.
My phone number was released.
Where I went to school.
Where I live.
My students can now search me and read about my abuse.
I am an Epstein survivor.
I am an Epstein survivor.
I am an Epstein survivor. We were exposed.
Nude pictures of victims
Were released. Our family's safety was put at risk.
Now, Todd Blanche wants to be the Attorney General of the United States.
Todd Blanche had a duty to protect us.
Instead, he protected the people who committed crimes against us. 30 years.
1,200 victims.
and 6 million files.
A mountain of evidence.
But Todd Blanche says there are no investigative leads.
Todd Blanch failed us.
He failed victims everywhere.
We deserve better.
Our country deserves better.
Vote no on Todd Blanche for Attorney General.
Vote no.
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 No. Vote no on Todd Blanche for Attorney General.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, oh no, the Epstein victims, they're all liberal propaganda too, I guess. It's all liberal propaganda if it makes you feel uncomfy. But yeah, what is in store tomorrow? Great question. Let's see here. Democrats are promising to make Blanche's Monday confirmation hearing an indictment of his record as Trump's former personal lawyer, and more recently as the face of a haphazard rollout of the Jeffrey Epstein files and the thwarted launch of a $1.8 billion fund to pay out victims of lawfare that critics called a slush fund benefiting Trump's allies. Like, this is going to be a difficult pill for Republicans in the Senate to swallow, especially because none of them were fans of this massive, slush fund either. None of them wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole. It was a fucking radioactive issue, right? And so this puts them in a deeply uncomfortable position. Like, a lot of these Republicans are going in front of the press right now and hedging their bets, right? So here's a couple examples of just that. Monday suggesting Blanche could face discipline for his handling of that settlement has only raised the stakes for John Cornyn, who said that while he wanted to do the right thing, he also wanted an attorney general who will enforce the law and who won't just be a lawyer for the president. I haven't finally decided yet. Keep in mind, John Cornyn just got stabbed in the back by Donald Trump down in Texas. He's not one of Trump's guys anymore. And he's on his way out of his political career, and he knows it. He's not inclined to agree with this particular nomination if it reflects poorly on him. Tom Tillis also said his posture right now is a yes vote on Blanche. He still has some issues with the fund that must be addressed. This is the thing, right? A lot of these folks, they're starting to get a little skittish. In fact, I'd say it's gone a little bit beyond just starting. They're solidly in skittish. I mean, like, this part of the article is hilarious. Blanche has been working to make inroads with GOP senators off the Judiciary Committee, too. In the past week, he's embarked on a multi-day tour of Alaska, home to moderate GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski, where he announced a nearly $200 million settlement between the Justice Department and Anchorage over a port expansion project. He's having to go around and wine and dine these senators because they do not want to support him. And there's also like a lingering disbarment potentially coming, you know? And if you're wondering, hey, why is Todd Blanche so worried about this? It's because Todd Blanche can only afford to lose 2 Republican Senate votes. He can only afford to lose 2. And we've already heard in this Politico piece from 2. Even Lisa Murkowski here, who he was trying to wine and dine, you know, she still has some specific follow-ups for Blanche. Susan Collins, who right now is feeling an immense amount of heat for re-election in Maine, hasn't made an official decision. If they flip on Blanche, he's done. He's done. And also, just worth noting here, wanted a little bit of insight from Jonathan Swan from this piece MS Now put out.
Republicans on Capitol Hill against Todd Blanche.
Oh, God, it's so quiet. 1 second. 1 second.
Well, it's changed a little bit because I think that there's not so much pressure from the MAGA base anymore on Todd Blanche specifically. They're I think, very dissatisfied with the way that Trump has handled Epstein. But, you know, the reporting itself makes very clear that we've done in the book that Todd Blanche was at the center of all things Epstein related in this administration.
Which makes him, by the way, a perfect scapegoat. Like, if anything is going to bring this fucker down, it's making himself the nexus of everything Epstein related. And, like, that'd be pretty delicious for him to be taken down by, you know, being a willing handmaid covering up sexual crimes for Epstein.
And I think from the outside...
And, of course, Donald Trump.
If you were just watching this, you might think, oh, he was, you know, at the Justice Department handling the mandatory release of the files. But what we show in the book is that his role went much deeper than that. He was inside the White House Situation Room with Trump's top political advisors, having conversations that essentially amounted to public relations conversations, political conversations about how to manage the Epstein material in a way that would be least damaging to Donald Trump. And the thing to really know about Trump and Todd Blanche is Trump still views Todd Blanche as his attorney. He was his personal attorney. And Trump wanted someone like that at the Justice Department. Of course, he had someone like that with Pam Bondi, who was also his personal attorney on the impeachment, but she wasn't doing the job as Trump described it. We asked, Maggie and I, when we sat down with the president, we asked him what he was dissatisfied with when it came to Pam Bondi. And he said something to the effect of, she needs to move faster. And we said, faster at what? And he said, with respect to things. He would...
she needs to move faster with respect to things.
Go further than that, but we know very well that what he was dissatisfied was that she was not prosecuting his enemies quickly enough.
And that brings us to the piece that dropped today in Politico, which is, or in the New York Times rather, which is, oh, this was his guy because he was like going after, he was effectively a legal hatchet man for Donald Trump and Trump's campaign. And Trump still views him, in a sense, like his Roger Stone, you know, within the administration. So, all of this being said, there's also going to be something else looming over Todd Blanche, which is this in particular.
Yo.
Stone Corbel, thank you for the tier 1 sub. This piece from Politico, which was published last month on the 25th, Todd Blanche conceded violating law on Epstein files, judge finds. And oddly enough, there's been a week to do this, and I don't believe this has actually been acted upon yet. So, very interesting, to say the least. U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche essentially admitted the violations by failing to address allegations from independent journalist Katie Fang in a lawsuit seeking broader access to the records, including allegations against President Donald J. Trump. The Attorney General does not respond substantively to any of these arguments, Sullivan, an appointee of President Bill Clinton, wrote in the opinion. The Attorney General has conceded that he is in violation of the act. Which, like guys, all of these files were supposed to be released months ago. It was supposed to be released at the beginning of the year. We're over halfway through the year now. And he's still, like, making excuses. And, like, the excuses aren't, oh, well, they needed more time to do redactions because you already outed multiple different Epstein victims. Like, it's just heinous the way that this has been, like, handled. Truly, truly disgusting. How does one just get to say, whoopsie, my bad, and not go to prison? Because in this particular case, Todd Blanche is representing the U.S. government, and he can't, you can't put the entirety of the U.S. government in prison under the U.S. law as it stands right now, right? And so, in the eyes of the court, it's not necessarily Todd Blanche who's violating the law, it's the federal government that's violating the law. And it's genuinely stupid how we handle these kinds of cases, but that's essentially my understanding of what's happening here. In my opinion, I think you're absolutely correct. If this guy is not doing what is mandated by law, he should go to prison. And yet, here we are. So, all of that being said, tomorrow morning is going to be a fascinating exercise in politics. So, for those interested, and if you're watching live, I'm sure if you're watching this, as a VOD, this testimony will already have happened. But the testimony of Todd Blanche in front of Congress begins at 9 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow morning. So check that out if you are awake and up for it. Other than that, I guess we'll take a look at some clips tomorrow and see kind of what came of all this. But all that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I said that twice because it's very important. And also consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. because you guys make this show possible. I could not do it without your incredible, incredible support. So please consider supporting the show. Also, folks, join your local Dems, join your local DSA, get involved today. We can help you. Join our Discord, reach out to GamerG for help with DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. We've got a huge community of folks who have signed up for their DSA, and they talk in Signal Chat. It's great, it's lovely, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. Oops, sorry for touching the mic. But also, it's important because you're going out there, you're going to the meetings, you're organizing together, and you're getting shit done in your local political communities. And that matters. It saves lives. It materially improves the lives of people in your community. So go do it. And last but not least, folks, Check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tucking lingerie. Check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. We just got a restock in all sizes, and we have a new color. Check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the description. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being plenty more. Your sense of fashion